Okwat Tansian Wan, my people, and welcome to the Hardcore Endgame build guide for Sevagoth. What I've got for you here is a setup that will tear through difficult content such as Steel Path missions. It involves builds for Sevagoth, his Exalted Shadow, and his Exalted Claws. It requires a whopping 17 total Forma, 2 reactors, 1 catalyst, and several hours of leveling. And that's after you've managed to get the blueprints to drop and waited 3 days for it to build. But Sevagoth is absolutely worth it for me, because this thing is not only fun, but it absolutely shreds. Is it worth it for you? Watch the video and decide for yourself, then let me know in the comments if you think I'm insane. The first component of this setup is Sevagoth himself. I call this build, Release the Kraken, because its main function is to fill up the well and get us into shadow form as quickly as possible. That's not to say the main form can't pop some bad guys himself, but our only survivability with this build comes from Umbral Vitality and Arcane Guardian procs, so you may have trouble staying alive for extended periods of heavy combat. Filling the well works like this. Cast Ensnare on something, and let it grab everything else in a 20-meter radius. Cast Sow, followed by Reap to apply multiple debuffs to the entire group. Now you can either spam cast Reap until they're all dead, finish them off with an equipped weapon, or blender the room with a mix of the two. As long as enemies are still affected by Sow when they die, their souls fill the well. The build is optimized to make that rotation as efficient as possible. The range we get from Stretch, Augur Reach, and Cunning Drift ensures that both Ensnare and Sow cover a large AoE. Prime Continuity provides enough duration for Ensnare and Sow to keep enemies both CC'd and debuffed while we kill them off. We get a hefty chunk of power strength from Umbral Intensify, Transient Fortitude, and Power Drift, while Corrosive Projection makes our damage more impactful. We don't have any room for any extra efficiency, but Primed Flow gives us a large energy pool, and Arcane Energize makes sure we make the most of our energy orbs when they drop. Next up is the Kraken himself, Sevagoth's Exalted Shadow, along with its Exalted Claws. This is where you want to spend most of your time, because the Shadow can dish out truckloads of damage while constantly refreshing its health and energy pools. I like to use Embrace, the Shadow's first ability, to pull groups of enemies in close. I follow that up with Death's Harvest, the third ability, to apply a debuff to the group, and then go crazy with melee slashes. The second ability, Consume, can be used to dash through enemies and get a chunk of health back, but it can be clunky and unreliable, so I only pull it out in emergencies. And really, having healing return on our claws means our health is constantly being refreshed to max. The Shadow build is mostly about maximizing our damage, which comes from melee attacks. The Steel Charge Aura gives us 60% bonus melee damage, and Arcane Fury has a chance to give another 180% for 18 seconds whenever we land a crit. And since we're over 100% crit chance on our Claws build, that means we should have near 100% uptime during combat. Pumping up our power strength with Umbral Intensify, Power Drift, Augur Secrets, and Transient Fortitude increases the debuff provided by Death's Harvest, meaning damage we deal is amplified significantly. Prime Continuity is all that's required to keep the debuff active long enough to kill enemies during a single cast. We don't bother investing in efficiency because energy costs are already low enough for our needs, and Hunter Adrenaline means that incoming damage constantly refreshes our energy pool. Survivability comes via Umbral Vitality, Adaptation, Arcane Guardian, and Healing Return on our Claws build. As long as you're attacking, you should have no problem keeping the Shadow's health maxed out. Finally, let's take a look at our build for the Exalted Claws, which boosts both status and crit, as well as attack speed. Sacrificial Steel puts us well over 100% crit chance, meaning Berserker and the aforementioned Arcane Fury will have virtually zero downtime in combat. Giving Claws viral damage provides benefits in 3 directions. First, viral procs boost damage to health. Second, it gives us a 4th possible status type, on top of the native IPS spread, to boost damage via Condition Overload. And third, that additional status type also allows Healing Return to pump more health back into the Shadow so long as it's attacking something. And that's the entire setup. There are no weapon or companion requirements, so do whatever wets your willy. Now you just have to decide if you're ready for the great power of Sevagoth, as well as the great responsibility of wielding it. More importantly, perhaps, are you ready to invest your entire Forma stockpile in a chunk of sanity making it happen? Here's some additional Steel Path gameplay footage if you need more time to decide.